Hello, Writer's Block. My name is Scott M. Baker. I'm the author of the Vampires Hunter trilogy, the Rotter World Zombie saga, and half a dozen other books and novellas. I'm coming to you today from just outside Concord, New Hampshire. Really good question, because that happens to me, at least on 3 or 4 of the projects I've worked on. I've gotten sidetracked with other things. It's been up to 6 months. And the trick that I do to get me back into it is when it's time to restart a particular project, I just go back, read the manuscript from the very beginning, make edits as I go along. And that way, by the time I'm done and reach the point where I had to leave the project in the first place, my mind's all set to go, and writing the rest of the project is very easy. I do most of my research before I sit down to actually do the writing. I take them all on 3x5 cards, which I keep around my desk. So when I need the notes, I pick them up, I can use them. But inevitably, I run across things or come up with new ideas while I'm writing that I'm not prepared for. In that case, I just put a series of X's in the manuscript, bookmark it with what I need to research, and then when I'm done with that chapter, I go back, do the research, and fill in those missing spaces before I go to the next chapter. Like any good artist, we always talk about our books or our movies or the artwork we're doing, and we like to mutually praise each other and self-congratulate one another. But the biggest topic of conversation I have with other artists is resources. We're always asking each other, oh, I need somebody who can do a really good science fiction book cover. I need a really good editor. I need to know where to go so I can make bookmarks or something like that. And that's mostly what we talk about, is we help each other, and it's a godsend. It's absolutely vital, because there's somebody who may know somebody in the cover artist world who is phenomenal, and they draw the best cover for your book possible. Networking with fellow artists is vital. It's a must. And always remember, your fellow artists are not your enemy. They're not competition. They're your friends. We're all in this together. The rising floodwater raises all boats. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask anybody, hey, who did that book cover for you, or who did the editing for you? My answer is not during the initial draft. As I'm writing the book, I write. I don't worry about anything like that. If a great cover idea or if a good log line pops into my head, I'll jot it down on a piece of paper and save it. But I usually wait until after the first draft is done. I send it out to my beta readers, and then when I get their results and I'm inputting them and I'm doing the final draft of the manuscript, that's when I start looking for marketing ideas. That's when I start looking for, what would be a good tagline, anything that could help with the book process. I'm very fortunate to have a phenomenal promoter who does a lot of that work for me. That's a personal choice for any artist. I don't want to go out there and say, our job is to push the envelope and to make people think. I don't do that. I'm an entertainer. I like to write books that people want to sit down, they want to read. They're doing it for enjoyment. Myself, there are certain things I will not touch. I will not show sexual violence against young children. I will not show a rape scene. I'll show the aftermath of it, the psychological, the physical, the emotional abuse. But to me, there's no reason to show the rape scene. It may be appropriate for some books. It may be appropriate. I've killed animals in my books for dramatic effect. That's left up to each and individual author. A funny story was, I was asked that question once during a panel, and we were talking about what lines wouldn't we cross, and I was challenged by a gentleman who ran an oceanographic institute and who was raising money for charity to write a tentacle sex short story for the anthology. And of course, when you're thrown a challenge like that, you can't say no. And the funny thing was, he rejected the story because he thought it was too over the line. Go figure. Well, anyways, I thank you all for joining me for these few minutes. If you've got any writing questions, go onto my Facebook page. Feel free to direct message me. I'm open. I talk to all writers. I love talking to prospective writers and helping them out when I can. So thank you all for being here. Have yourselves a great night. But again, like I said, that's each and every artist's individual take. If you feel it, if you feel like there's a line you've got to cross it. Just make sure you're crossing it for the right reasons. Because if it turns off your fans and if it turns off your readers, it's really hard to get them back.